Yeah, a long way from a stuttering kid. I didn't get enough love.
Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the How Men Cry podcast. I'm your host, Dxtr Spits, and the How Men Cry podcast and mission is aimed at getting 1,000 men or more talk comfortably about vulnerability and mental health just through sharing stories. We all kind of have a collective story that we're adding input into, and I'm fortunate enough to have a guest today that was actually what I would consider a pivotal friend in some of my own story and journey, just in terms of someone that's inspired me to pursue some dreams and who pursues dreams himself. And was also teaching me how to speak a different language, which I got terrible at, but I'm picking up Japanese for some weird reason. But anyway, bringing in the good homie Edma. How you doing, man? How's it
Hey
going?
man, all good. How are you, man?
Pretty good. I am still learning Spanish, but
uh,
Japanese took like
I was gonna say like, oh, come on, man. This is Spanish first. Focus on one.
I know I could probably tell you more in Japanese now than I could. I'm not even gonna embarrass myself, so we could just move on from that.
Okay, okay, okay.
But no, man, welcome, Edma. Good to see you, man. I know we caught
Thank
up a
you.
little while ago. Just great to see you. How you doing today, man? How's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. It's been going great. Had a couple of things to work on this morning. I'm actually working on a baseball camp next week, so
Nice.
I've been planning that out these past few days.
Yeah.
Kind of stressful.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I know, and you've always had the baseball passion for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, I mean, would you like to tell the folk at home a bit about who you are and what you do and some of your background? Because we met in a more technical sense
Yeah.
first. So yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, my name is actually Edmanuel Lorenzo. I go by Edma. I'm from originally from Puerto Rico. I was born and raised over there. Then I got my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Puerto Rico. That's when I moved to Chicago, well, Northern Illinois,
yeah,
to just to focus on my engineering career. Start over there. That's where I met Jordan, and few, I'll say like 2 years in the program, I just decided to venture out a little bit, and then I started with the business side.
yeah,
Then I started in 2016. Well, at the end of 2016, because I mean I was still searching for a job,
yeah,
and like nothing came by. I was applying, like nobody called. I only had like one interview in like 6 months. I'm like, okay, I'm running out of cash.
yeah.
What's gonna be my backup plan? And I said, if I'm not gonna be able, like, if I can't land a job, I'm just gonna make my own job. And then that's when I started exploding, like explore different areas of business. What do I like? And then I found that opportunity of just personalizing cups. Um, it was just basic thing, not a
Mhm.
lot of money involved, and that's where I started the business career. From that, I moved on to an escape room and an ice cream shop. So I
What? I don't
learned.
even. I'm not sure if I knew about the ice cream shop.
Yeah, so it was a mix. So it was a fusion between an ice cream shop and an escape room. So at the front of the store, you had the ice creams, like homemade ice creams, with
Yeah.
with like different puzzles at the tables. And then if you wanted to do the escape room, you could pay and then go to the back room, where that was like it was like a small hallway, and that was the whole experience. So it was
I
kind
think
of cool.
I think I mixed or didn't realize that this was a connected business. We could talk about that
Uh,
later, but continue.
it was a fusion. I worked with my cousin, who was my a business partner at that time. Then after that, I sold my part of the business to him, and then I went back to school, and then that's when the pandemic started,
Mm,
and yeah, and then I finished my master's degree in finance, and right now I'm still looking for a job in finance. But in the meantime, so I'm still working on puzzles. I love puzzles, so I've been doing escape boxes, which is like an escape room in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing that in Spanish. Um, Probably I'll do one English version someday soon. And then I'm also doing like a side gig. I'm working on teaching baseball. So I'm a
Yeah.
baseball coach for 10 under, 9 and 10 years old, and an assistant coach for 13 and 14 years old.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
No, that's
Well, that was
that's
like a 3 minute summary.
That's, well, no, man, it's cool because I think we have some of that parallel, just of kind of having a bunch of different creative peak interests, and
Hmm.
one of the things that I think engineers sometimes and some do fit into this pool of like not having creative muscles to flex or whatever else, but there's a lot of creativity that comes with problem solving.
Oh,
And I
yes.
think, in a way, it's kind of cool of what you're saying. So many things that are related to and involving, even like figuring things out. In a way, it's making like in terms of the board games that are actually rooms or escape puzzles. That's kind of
Hmm.
like taking problem solving and turning it into something fun that people
Yeah.
can interact with. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I mean, I've been using the background a lot. It's just not so much technical stuff, like, but I do use like you said, problem solving, critical thinking, like the analysis and everything. It's all pretty much the same. I'm trying to find solutions for people that have to have fun. Instead of doing like some kind of product for a manufacturing company, I'm doing the same process for my own products and different clients.
yeah.
And so yeah, engineering plays has played a big part in my development as a professional.
Yeah. And something that's actually even interesting about that is like right now for this project, I'm spending a pretty good amount of time. Like, for instance, I'm building out flow charts this week for like processes of how we, release these episodes and who does what. 'Cause we're starting to have a little more bit of a team around it. So it's still something that we're implementing now.
Yeah.
So to get off of that career talk, what so, one thing, man, I would say that I can respect about you a lot is just right out the gate. I feel like you were very expressive just about wherever you were in terms of your own kind of like personal journey, just how you felt about things, how, maybe you didn't feel like things before you were going in different directions. In my mind, always know you as someone that's been very, very vocal in that kind of way. Is that how you grew up in general, or is that something that you kind of found later in life?
Yeah, I think that's something that I found later in life. When I grow up, like growing up, I was very shy.
Mm,
I was always everything by the book, and if you do everything that you're supposed to do, everything's gonna be good. Everything's gonna end up like great. So, like as a young kid, that applies actually. If you do things good, you're eventually gonna get good things. You're gonna get good grades. You're probably gonna get some good Christmas presents. Maybe
yeah,
you're probably gonna do a lot of things like correctly. But then once you grow up, that's not the rule. And then
yeah,
even though you might do a lot of things correctly, things might not just go your way, and you have to adapt. And that's where you become stronger as a person, as a human being, when you adapt to something, when you start like thinking outside the box. Okay, what do I do at this position? um how do I react to things going my way? Am I gonna just sit down and cry about it, or I'm
yeah,
gonna sit down, relax, cry, and then move on? And there's a couple of steps that you do take, and it happened to me. When I left the job at the previous my first company in
yeah,
Illinois. I left the job thinking that, okay, I got some experience, I'm like smart, I got the engineering background, I'm moving to Texas, I can definitely find a job easily. And then months later, 6, 7 months later, I'm still searching for a job. And
yeah,
it's mentally exhausting, it's frustrating. I cried a lot. I was like, why? I don't know why. Like
yeah,
like I know I can do any type of job out there. What's going on? And
yeah,
then I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna sit down anymore. I'm just gonna go do things. And
yeah,
then that's where you learn to do those things. Just
yeah. Well, what is kind of interesting or what was kind of cool is you said, are you going to sit around and cry about it? And it's like, sit around, cry about it, then go do things. It's like, no, still
yeah,
part of the
yeah, yeah. It's
part of the
still part of
process.
the process. It is,
Yeah,
it is part of the process,
Yeah,
and that's when I saw your How Men Cry and all the like the philosophy around it, and I talked to you about it. I'm like, I like that, I
yeah,
like that. It's good that you're expressing that and letting the world know that, a lot of people go through a lot of stuff, and you're not alone. And
yeah,
it's just a matter of how you adapt, how do you attack the things, and how do you absorb the things and make like become better.
yeah.
Then so.
Yeah, and honestly, in that same vein, just around the idea, like, part of the mission or conversation is that crying isn't even always, just necessarily physical tears. That there's a lot of different ways that things can present within people, and
Mhm.
it makes me wonder or just think, like, I know with a lot of U.S. based narratives, at least with how I grew up, there was not always that space wasn't necessarily made, or it wasn't as comfortably talked about, in terms of like a lot of the inputs that I took on were things that were more more of you just kind of like you tough it out, you keep going, which are things that you still may have to do at some point. But
Mhm.
this idea of kind of like actually feeling through what was going on, because even you talking about your career stuff, it's like it sounds like you were really like feeling through what is it like to be disappointed at these points, or what is it like to be at this low, or to maybe have your what you expected to happen like kind of fall out from under you, and then what you had to develop and build. So I guess a question coming from all of that is like, what were the cultural narratives when you were growing up? Do you think, was it easier to talk about or express what was happening feeling wise, or culturally, was it kind of similar to how the U.S. can be with it?
Um,
I mean, it's still
I,
the U.S., but I mean, you know what I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
like
yeah.
the
It's kind of different, but same. I don't know. I'm not pretty sure how to explain it. Just culture-wise, it's different. Over there it's a lot more family oriented, a lot more like close with your friends, your family. Everyone's together, like they're really close. So you
yeah,
see them all the time. You see them every day, and if you need someone to talk to, if you're feeling stressful, you go to your family all the time, and everything's like close. And then
yeah,
when I got to the U.S., I felt that difference is just on the people, and
mm,
a lot of the people they're not that you know they're not warming. um,
mm,
Sometimes they just go on their own way, a little bit selfish, and that's a lot of difference in terms of like to culture wise. um, but besides that, I mean, you don't teach, that's something you might learn from your parents or family or close, but sometimes it's just the person, that's the personality. And I think
yeah,
that's something that I have a lot. It's just my personality is like that, because I got all the family members, brothers and sisters, like sisters, not brothers but sisters, that they're not the same. They're just different, way
yeah,
different than what I am, and we grew up the same way. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I won't say it's all cultural or the way
yeah,
I grew up,
but,
but
yeah,
it does has an influence, and also like each person has their own way of dealing with things, and I think
yeah,
that's one of the main parts. And
yeah. That is actually something I know, like just family dynamics and stuff in general. I'm working on patching up a lot of mine, like literally as we speak, pretty much. And I could imagine in general just having more of an environment, like that, where it's like, what kind of who do I turn to in certain circumstances? That just being like an overall means of bettering your communication, or at least it sounds like, because you are right, there's almost over individuality mentalities
hmm
within mainland US or
yeah,
whatever, where it's like go out and get it, or go do this and you're gonna go be blah blah blah, or there, or you get to see this like I was actually just listening to something about Steve Jobs and like Apple, and how for like a presentation that would take like 15 minutes 20 minutes to prepare, it took like 250 hours and like 500 people and all this other stuff like that, where I'm like, but you see this guy, and this guy, this front pacing person is like, oh, this is that one solo, person, and then that's who we attach with and the
Mhm.
story that we continue to kind of tell ourselves, when it's like that's not even
It's
really,
not, yeah.
it's more of an environment around help.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's the key word, the environment around you. It's critical for each person to develop on like both mentally, physically, and
Yeah.
professionally. The environment plays a big role.
Yeah. So how was your, I guess maybe a two-part question is one, what do the words mental health mean to you? And then, secondly, what do you feel like your mental health was like maybe at some of those like, lower points of maybe being disappointed or job hunting or
Hmm.
things like that?
Yeah, so mental health has been, I think I never understood the whole concept of it until past recent
Hmm.
months or years. Um, my girlfriend has actually helped me a lot to understand that mental health is an issue. I was said that okay, I was facing some problems. I'm like, okay, deal with it. But then like there was I couldn't sleep. There was stuck in my head. There was a lot of things. There were like my physical appearance was changing.
Mm,
I was feeling different kinds of emotions and I did not know how to deal with them. And but I've like I just kept going, and maybe that was not the correct way because I just didn't understand the whole process of mental health.
yeah,
Now, like I understand what it is because I, when I look back at all of the experiences I've gone through, I'm like, okay, now I can have those moments, or I can point out those days where I knew that I needed some help and I didn't get it. I
yeah,
just tried to force it, and then it just created worse and worse and worse.
mm,
And so that's that's how I learned about it. I think it is crucial, mostly nowadays with like social media, all the things going on, COVID, like the
yeah,
world is going crazy, and people,
inputs.
yeah, all the inputs that we're getting, and every time I feel like every week that passes, more things come in, and it's harder to just to manage your whole life, like overall.
Yeah,
Now we're getting the new variant in, and you know what's going to happen, and then
yeah,
that raises questions, and then questions comes in, and like if you don't have any answers, it becomes stress, and then if you don't know how to handle that stress, then your body is going to start taking the toll, your mental
yeah,
health is going to start taking the toll. You're not going to start worrying about some things, and then something that was not worrying you before, now it is, and
yeah,
all that's going to keep going in, gain. So I think that the mental aspect is something that needs to be talked about, like we're doing right now.
yeah,
It's something that people need to understand that it is a thing, and learning how to cope, learning how your body works, how your mental health works, how you as a person work. It's gonna help you on overcome obstacles moving on.
yeah. I mean, I think exactly. I mean, one, I really appreciate you saying that, and just kind of even that concept of just like stuff kind of piling on. I've
Hmm.
written a piece recently called "Water" that was just talking about it. It just goes into just this idea and the feelings of just continuous pressure, and I do think that that's felt, amongst any gender, any person. Like we can all get into those states. um, and I think like you're right, it becomes more and more difficult to kind of unplug and detach from it all. It's like because you don't want to be so detached from things that you have like you're just in a bubble entirely. I don't think that's
Hmm.
always helpful, but like you said, I mean, the amount of inputs that you're getting immediately, and then just all the emotional response, and that's before even anything to do with
Yeah,
your own life.
with your own life. That's
Like
true.
just
That's
like
true.
your own, so I just appreciate you saying that in general of, just that kind of bombardment. And so what have you, so you were saying you kind of learned more about it. Was that through a process of therapy, or was that just a process of the current relationship that you were in,
Yeah,
and
I think
kind
with
of
the
like self-study or?
yeah, with the current relationship that I'm in, with my girlfriend, I've learned a lot through her.
Yeah,
She's gone through different things. She's taken some therapies before, and she's helped me a lot to cope with my own things, and
yeah,
um and I mean, past experiences that has happened to me also help me understand now when I look back what I did wrong, what I did good, and
Yeah.
how I overcame those problems. And then if that helped me, like if the things I did helped me then, I think it's gonna help me now and maybe in the future.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but definitely I gotta give a lot of props to my girlfriend. Like
Yeah. Shout out to her. She's gonna be watching this
yeah,
channel.
I will.
You right. Made you the man you are today.
I
But
will.
no, I mean, but I appreciate that because one of the things I actually have learned, or found, and I think before I've had more either codependence or leaning on people within relationships, and that was in response of not knowing how to really deal with what I had going on. But it sounds like that's a truly supportive circumstance of let me help you to kind of continue to get in that place. And I think like even just being, well, let me actually, because it kind of leads me to a question. It's like, do you feel like from having that type of support, you all have grown closer, or have things changed or improved even within your relationship?
Yeah, definitely. It has like me understanding what it feels like, what it is, what it means not just to me but to her. It definitely makes it a lot closer. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things that I used to do that would trigger her. Some even minor things, and instead of like fight or something, she'll send me a link. I'll read it, and then I'll understand what's going on through her mind. I'll understand
Mm,
what she's happening, and then I'll apply those things to myself also. And then I'll talk to other people, and then I'll send that link to other people also.
yeah.
And that's how you get better. So every time something like that happens, instead of just separating, you
You
it brings
actually,
you closer. It brings you
yeah.
closer. Yeah.
So how do you not take those things personally if she sends you a link and
I
you trying to hold on to being
Yeah,
right, and maybe I'm
yeah.
just projecting for me, but I'm
Yeah, no,
curious to
no,
know.
no. I'm too. I mean, you get mad, but at the end of the you're you're not always gonna be right,
Yeah.
and there are things that for you right now are right, and for me are wrong,
Mm,
and it doesn't mean that you're actually right or wrong. I mean, I have to understand your perspective. I understand how you feel of when someone does something to you or someone does something to someone else. How do you feel? We're not gonna feel the same thing. So
yeah.
once you start understanding that people have different feelings, that what makes you sad doesn't make sad to the person next to you. Once you understand that there are different emotions in people, and they show the emotions in different ways, then you start then like decreasing that um that aggressiveness, you might call it. You might decrease that like spontaneous reaction on just on something. You might just wait a little bit, calm down. What's going on? Instead of just going at it, calm down, relax, watch the environment, what's going on, read her, like her reaction, look, what are you doing, take a step back, and I think that's how I manage it. I don't get mad. I
Hmm.
just take it as a learning point. I read it. If I think it doesn't apply, I'll just talk to her. I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that's applicable at this case.
Yeah.
And then for future reference, I know what can be applicable or not, what can I use or not. That's how I manage that.
Yeah.
So,
So even in I would say, so even in like family dynamics, or maybe close friends or stuff like that, are you finding similar ways to maybe kind of deal with conflict, and in particular maybe through the lens of like a lot of men, because I know I would say I don't want to overgeneralize or throw words in your mouth, because I want it to be your
hmm
personal experience. But I think sometimes, depending on where you are in those conversations, it can be, if somebody else isn't really there, like it can be like a bit of a mismatch within the approach.
yeah,
So do you ever kind of run into that within relationships of yours? Maybe not even just that person, the romantic one, but
yeah, yeah.
beyond that.
I mean, with my dad and one of my best friends,
Yeah.
a lot of times, and we get mad, and like just normal discussion of something turns into bad discussion, and then turns into a fight, and then turns into okay, I'll call you later. You know, and then when you look back, I'm like, that was like stupid. You know,
Yeah.
what are we doing? Come on,
Yeah.
we're fighting for something that doesn't even say, like doesn't even affect us. You know, it's something not related to us. You know, we should be able to have a discussion about certain topic without even fighting. You know, without taking things personal. And I
Yeah.
think I've struggled a lot with my dad on those like certain topics with him. Just his like old school mind of like way of thinking collide a lot. And
Yeah.
with yeah, one of my best friends, we have collide a lot in terms like a lot of topics in real life. You know, how to manage your finances, how to
Mm,
do like there's a lot of things that you might say, well, whatever, but no, like when you're talking to someone that's important to you, those topics become important also. But
sure.
still, like it shouldn't be to a point where it affects that relationship. You know, we can discuss a lot of things but not affect, but it does affect. And to being able to fix it afterwards, it's kind of hard. And I mean, I can send documents, I can send some links over, I can read a lot, but it's hard. You know, it's
Yeah.
very hard to manage those emotions a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were saying that kind of like old school, like in particular with your father's circumstance, some of the more old
Hmm.
school mentalities around things. I don't know. Does that make you? How do you? How do you think you crack through that? Like, I don't even know what to call it. I how do you
Yeah,
think
to
you?
that difference
Yeah, how do you think you?
in
How do you continue to navigate through that? In ways that make the relationship better, or maybe that you can even just learn from, and then
yeah,
implement
I
differently.
mean, we talk. I talk a lot with my dad, and we just talk about it. You know, I mean, I might just even though I know I'm right in some things, I might just call him, hey, dad, sorry about yesterday. You know, shouldn't have happened, whatever. And but the good thing that, well, what I found out in the recent like 3 years of my like this professional things that I'm doing and all the things I'm going up around is that if you talk to someone, if you explain what you're doing, if you show that you care for not just you, for the people around you, people, it doesn't matter what age they are, they start to understand. They start to understand you. and
Mm,
and I did that with my father. You know, when I quit the job, he got mad at me. You're like,
mm,
what are you doing? You don't quit your job. No, and you gotta be loyal. They're giving you a job. You gotta be graceful. You gotta be loyal to them. You know, and I explained to them. I explained to him like, hey, dad, this is what happened. This is why. This is why I did it, and this is the plan I got. Okay.
yeah.
When I started the business, it was the same thing. Like, what are you doing? That's too risky. That then I had to talk to him. Hey, dad, this is what it is, and that's how I've been able to bridge that gap of
Mm,
age, and then that mentality with him. And like for the previous, I'll say like year and a half, it's been actually really good. Like I'm okay. I'm doing okay. He understands that I'm doing okay, and he's accepting more the decisions I make. He's accepting more the decision my sisters are making, and he's trying to understand how the young people mentality is working nowadays. It's
yeah.
still a lot, it's still a lot, but like he's trying to do that, and he's been able to do that because I know I have been influencing his way of thinking.
Yeah.
Like old school, it's okay on a lot of things, but you have to adapt to different societies. You have to adapt to different generations, and if you don't do that, then you're gonna go extinct.
Yeah.
And I've been able to talk to him about that. So just talking, or maybe send him a link, share some videos of something that I really like. He'll just look at it. If he applies it or not, I don't care. But I know that he looked at it, and just by that, maybe in the future he'll like, okay, this is important to him. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds, yeah. I mean, it really sounds like growth on both of your guys' part, which is really cool.
Mhm.
You know, it's kind of this growth, but also I definitely get it in terms of, you know, when you kind of step out there, because I think that was something that I was taking a lot more personally. At almost every, you know, turn in life, a lot of the times I've jumped out there a lot on what I wanted to do, and that support. It's not, you know, I think what can probably be important to remember, and I'm sure you know, more than likely applies for your father in terms of how you're talking about it, is like he just wants you protected and safe, you know,
Yeah.
to like some extent. You know, it's like,
Mhm.
so there's a moment of kind of grace of like, maybe this is what your response is, but that response is really coming out of you wanting to
Yeah.
care for me. It looks, you know, but what I'm doing looks a little different than that. So
Mhm.
that's just really cool that it, you know, it sounds like you guys have been able to build on y'all's relationship in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a struggle. I remember at the beginning, like when I started with the ice cream store with my cousin, he was like, "What are you doing? Like, you're going from being an engineer now to selling ice cream? What? What? What?" Yeah, and there was like it was like
He's like this.
it's like
What
it
is going?
doesn't what is going on,
I mean,
And
and you know, and in his defense, it's like sounds like a pretty far jump.
I
I
know.
get it.
So, it took a lot of time from that moment until he realized, okay, he's gonna do good. Okay.
Yeah,
Once I show him, hey, dad, look at all the people that we're getting to the store. Hey, look what we're doing. Look what we're selling. Hey, look how the things are going. If we can keep this up, maybe these can go
yeah,
places. And that's when he understood that, okay, it doesn't matter your profession. It doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you do things with passion,
yeah,
as long as you do things with a purpose,
yeah,
as long as you like keep work hard for the things you want to, you're gonna be successful.
yeah.
And that mentality was not there before. Like for him, it was just study.
You need to do this
You need
thing.
to
Yeah,
do this in a structured way, and at the end, you can do great.
yeah,
And yeah, that's what I said at the beginning of this. Like at the beginning, when I was young, I was doing things that you know, correct way, and you expect the best results. But in life, like when you get older, that doesn't apply.
yeah.
And
It really doesn't.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So he finally understood that, and I'm glad he did, and we have like a great relationship, with my family and everything. We talk about every single project that I do. I talk to them. I talk to them. And
that's all.
and I talk to them not just because I want their um their inputs, or they have to accept what I'm doing, or they have to agree on what decisions I make. I talk to them just because if for me, I feel good talking about my projects. It gives me confidence, even if they don't agree. It's not that I don't care, but it's just that I'm still gonna do it, and I want you to understand why I'm doing these stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been going pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And
Mhm.
hey, look, and I would bet on you, whatever business venture. I don't care. You could walk up and be like, so look, man, we selling inflatable dinosaurs, and I'll be like, because I know you, and because I'll be like, go ahead, man. Once it just wait, we're going once we get enough cash to start throwing around crazy. I'm be like, Edna, what ideas you got, man?
Let's go. Let's
What you
go.
got? What you got? Let's go.
Dude, it's hard. It's hard, man. It's
Yeah,
been it's been hard, and I gotta tell you, like it's been, a lot of people, like a lot of my friends, everything, they think that, like, oh, he's doing so great, and dude, it's been a struggle, and it still is. I haven't found a job in years,
yeah,
and I'm still just figuring out what to do. I'm just getting gigs. I started working at a restaurant last year. I was
yeah.
working as a server
Just everything.
with a master's degree and an engineering degree. I'm working with as a server, and I like that job actually. And I'm like, okay, I'm making some money over here. It's not that bad. I'm just surviving, and you gotta do what you gotta do to be successful.
You know, and that's I'm actually glad you say that. A couple things about that. One, I appreciate you just in general that amount of pressure of trying to go out and do something non conventionally, and then something
Mhm.
else I realize is how hard we can hold on to those titles. And to me, I relate it to the idea sometimes of masculinity or how we present. And I won't say in like all forms, but I know there's been in my life just a lot of presentation of that title and that thing that you do and whatever else, just equates to the value that you have, or this, proposed value of how well you're, doing in
Mhm.
life. And I've just found from trying to do plenty of things that fit or check those boxes, it's like it exhausts and doesn't make me happy. So I
Yeah.
can have this title and people can be impressed and wooed all day, but if you just feel dead inside, it's like, what,
It's like, well, yeah.
what's the point? Is it really,
hmm Yeah. When I
Yeah,
started, I was in a position where I went, okay, what am I gonna do now with my life? Um, I just sold the the business, the part of my business to my cousin. I had a lot of problems with him,
yeah,
and like it affected the business a lot. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I'm not going down this way. I'm just gonna sell my part of it, and you do whatever you want to do. And like months after I did that, I was still thinking, what am I gonna do now? I
yeah,
put all my money in this. All my investments, everything. I got
yeah,
nothing. I got nothing. I only
yeah,
got the degree that says you're a mechanical engineer. That's all I
yeah,
got. You know,
yeah,
and it was a tough process and a tough moment decisions to just sit down, apply for jobs, not being able to get one, and then decide, you know what, I'm going to a restaurant.
yeah,
And making that decision took me like 6 weeks.
yeah,
Just being able to just click apply to a restaurant. And I
yeah,
knew that if I applied, I was gonna get that job. I knew it. I knew it.
yeah.
Like, but how? How?
See,
What am I gonna sell? At that moment, I didn't tell my dad. I
yeah,
didn't tell. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't. Only my girlfriend knew. Like we lived together. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell anyone I'm working at a restaurant.
yeah,
Not gonna tell anyone. And I
yeah,
applied. I started a job, and about a week later, I said, you know what? There's nothing wrong on just starting over. There's nothing wrong on just starting from the bottom again. There's nothing wrong at saying that things didn't work out. It's
yeah,
fine. It happens. And that's when I just my confidence level, everything just I like took out all my emotions and everything, all the things that were like trapping me and be like,
way,
okay, you know what? I work at a restaurant. I do
yeah,
this. I serve food. I clean up tables. That's what I do. And yes, I have a bachelor's degree, but you don't know what things I've gone through to be here in this position again.
wow,
So then I just started moving, and then I climbed up the restaurant. I started being a bartender, and then that's more money came in. Then after that, I started moving different ways, and then now I set up the small business again. So everything going back up again,
yeah.
and so yeah,
Now,
it's not a lot of people see you, and it's not that
yeah,
so easy. He made it because he had a lot of support from other people. So yes, I have, and I've been blessed to have it, but you gotta put in the work a lot.
yeah. And how, so that, even that story in general, that's such, to me, a vulnerable thing to express, because there's so much pride and so much ego, I think, that go with, what we do and whatever else. I know
Hmm
for sake personally, because I was so heavily attached to it. I think with performance and entertainment in general, that's a really dangerous slippery slope, is the attachment that you have to a presentation of who you are. And
hmm
it just makes me think of how, vulnerable even just that kind of story was to just express. And I, appreciate it. And it makes me want to question, what does that word vulnerability in general mean to you? Maybe in the context of relationships or just how you show up in life.
Yeah. It's tough to talk about it. Not everyone wants to show that, and I think we're taught, at least I was taught, that you don't show a lot of emotions to the people. You don't want to look weak to others. You like they're gonna start bullying you. They might take advantage of you. Um, so that it's something like it's hard to explain it. I know that from my own experience or the things I've gone through from like not getting a job. Um, Losing the business just because someone else's decision, out of my control.
Hmm.
Being there with the Hurricane Maria happened in Puerto Rico. I
Mm,
was there,
Yeah.
I was at. All those things like you start to understand and start viewing the world and life at different perspective, and you start becoming more aware of the things you do and not do. You start becoming more aware of the things you have, and give a lot of blessings for the things you have, and that for I can't say that word again, but you become stronger from all aspects of your life, that be, becoming vulnerable, it's okay,
Yeah.
because you know that you're gonna pass the stage, you're gonna be better.
Yeah.
And I think that it's right now, I think that I'm okay talking about it. I'm okay being vulnerable. I'm okay
Yeah.
expressing myself, because I know that I have to. I know that it's gonna be good if I do cry. It's gonna be do if I do say, hey, I'm sorry about this, I messed up. It's gonna be good if someone sees that I failed. Oh, it's all right. Everyone does, and if I can serve that as an example to someone else, it's even better. And that's how I feel. I don't know if I answer
No, you did.
correct,
Yeah,
but yeah,
no,
yes.
beautifully. Yeah, honestly, yeah. And I think, I mean, and that's really what a lot of these conversations are about. It's like, I think even for me, I mean, I really, really resonate, especially with the part of just like not understanding that pressure or that weight or those struggles or that kind of turmoil between projects that I've tried to launch or just a bunch of things that I've tried to do. I mean, the ups and downs, anything attached to your dreams or a bigger vision or something like that. I mean, the emotional roller coaster in association with it, I think,
Mhm.
is like way more difficult,
Yeah.
than what people realize sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially when you're aware enough to start to recognize what you're feeling, and so I definitely just value that input, and I think you're absolutely right. It's like it was interesting to see, even as you talked about the stuff towards being a server and stuff, are you how there it looked almost like a weight was almost lifted just for you, like showing up as whoever you were at that moment, like
Yes.
that's such a
Yes.
cool, like, freeing thing of
Mhm.
like, this is
Yeah.
me, I'm here right now, and just
Yeah.
and
It,
this
it
is
took
where I'm
me
at.
it took me a couple of weeks to tell everyone, like I said, and even like when I met with some of my friends, like I was, let's say, hanging out, I met them. Hey, what are you doing? I I I had like a delay of like 3 or 4 seconds to tell them what I was doing, because I felt at the beginning, I felt like, man, they're gonna look down on me,
Yeah.
they're gonna feel sorry for me, all the things, and I didn't want to feel that way.
Yeah.
Then after I crossed that line, and when I started telling everyone, yeah, I'm a waiter right here,
Yeah.
I'm serving tables over here. There's nothing
Well,
wrong with it. And
yeah.
once I crossed that, everything was like, it's so easy now.
And
And
when,
I'm glad I talk about it now
yeah.
every time. Every time. It's like kind of interesting, it's like now we can have a conversation with anyone. Like, yeah, I used to be a waiter at this place. It's
Yeah.
so easy. It's so refreshing.
And one of my friends, it just reminded me, one of my friends and buddies who was she was a flight attendant. Her and her buddies a few had gotten laid off, during COVID time, and one of them switched over to serving, actually, but I think it was for like high end restaurants, and she was like bringing in bank, where I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
So
should
I
I just make should I
so
switch up real quick?
so I started working at a Mexican restaurant
Mhm.
as a server, and then after like 3 months, I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm making some money, but it's not like it's barely, it's barely nothing, And
yeah,
I took a second job at a pizzeria,
hmm,
but it was like a fancy
like an
pizzeria,
upskirt.
like
Yeah,
upscales, and like the bricks oven and a lot of wine and glasses and drinks and everything.
yeah.
And there I was. I could go. I mean, can I say it? Like, yeah, I
Oh,
could go
but
for,
hey,
yeah, I could go for a Saturday for like 4 or 5 hours. Go
yeah,
home with $300, 350 cash,
yeah,
and I'm like, I just worked at 4 hours. I made $300. It's like almost $100 an hour. What is this?
Well, yeah,
What
I
is
was going to say that's actually comparable to, if not better than, a whole lot of
than
salaries,
a lot of
depending
things?
on,
Yeah,
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 a
yeah. And then
whole lot of them.
yeah, if you do that four 4 days in a row, making 200, 300, we're talking like
No, you getting,
pretty good
yeah,
amount. It's for that kind of job, and it
yeah,
was an easy job. You're opening a bottle of wine and you're serving pizza.
yeah,
And when I saw that, after I released all the emotions and all the fears I got, I'm like, I know, yeah, I don't care if you're an engineer. I don't care
yeah,
what your position is. You gotta respect everyone over here because you don't know um, how much they're making. You don't know what their emotions are. You know what they've been up to.
mm,
The manager over there at the pizzeria, he had a lot of things going on. You
yeah,
could tell. You could tell from his face or everything. He had a lot of things going on, but he loved the job. He liked what he did, and even though like when he got in there, everything was perfect. But on the outside, you could tell. And I will go up to him, hey, is everything okay? He will say, yeah, yeah, everything's okay. But I knew something was wrong because I know that face because I was
yeah,
there before.
yeah,
And then it happens. It happens. There's a
yeah.
lot of money. There could be a lot of money.
Yeah, but I appreciate that just in general though, because there's that, I think, humbleness and, like, humility to it, and also just that place of like how we see each other as humans or as people. Like, I was saying it in one of my last performances and in shows in general. That, like, after I'm finished performing, like, a lot of times I'm just like, hey, whatever the thought is about, like, me being performer or speaker or whatever else, like, I'm like, move all of that away. If you want to talk about, like, the how men cry stuff, or just have regular interest, I'm like, just come have a regular conversation. I'm like,
Hmm.
because I really don't like what we've done in society around just like titles and this like ego thing and this blah, and
Yeah,
you're better than
yeah. You're
somebody for this
better.
profession. It's just all of that
Yeah.
stuff. Like, it really is like a fruitless outlook towards life, and it's just so devaluing to people.
Hmm.
And it just, you
Yeah.
don't you lose real human connection, and just
Hmm.
attached to that ego. It's just
Yeah,
crazy
yeah, you're
sometimes.
right.
Yeah,
And I gotta tell you that it happens everywhere. Everywhere you
yeah,
go, you're gonna see that. But you're gonna see it more with like um more detail and like you can in the US. You see
yeah,
that more in the US.
yeah,
If you go to different places, I mean, you're still gonna see that, but there's still that sense of awareness of your surroundings,
yeah,
awareness of
yeah,
you work with people, you live with people, you live in a society where you depend on people.
yeah.
And I think now it has been lost, that term has been lost a lot.
Mm,
In like especially in the US, I've seen it a lot. I've seen a lot of people just don't care about about anything. I'm like, come on, man. you know
yeah,
you live with people, you live with you have some neighbors, there's a
yeah,
school across it, there's a lot of kids that want to grow up, you better care not just for you, but you better care around with the people around you,
yeah,
with
and
nature, with the world, with
all,
everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
because that narrative is hard to challenge. That's one that I've challenged within myself a lot, and a lot of my work and projects. Like, I've really worked on resonating with that feeling more, and really pursuing that, and just bringing the humanity to just being a person, and
Yeah.
actually to switch gears, but not too much. I think some of that pressure of not operating in those ways, eventually leads to unhappiness internally, and to those pressures, and to ways that people end up kind of crying out, in ways that may or may not be healthy. Or and you've kind of shared it earlier, but would you be comfortable just like expressing or telling a story about a time that maybe you had to be vulnerable, or a time that you cried, or something like that, or just a time depicting maybe that general humanity towards others?
Oh man, it's been, I'll say, when I lost when I sold the business
Mm,
because of problems with my partner, which was
mm,
my cousin. That really hurt me a lot, you know.
yeah,
That really, really hurt me a lot, and I did cry a lot for weeks, months, I did cry a lot because
Yeah.
I put all my energy effort into that project, and I felt like this is what I want to do. That's when you reach that point that you're happy and dedicated with the things you've done, and then all of a sudden, boom, everything crashed down.
Yeah.
That like hurt me a lot. And the good thing about that is that after that happened, I went for a complete month to Southeast Asia.
Mm.
I visited a lot of like different countries over there, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and once I got there and I saw like what you see, different cultures, like different people, different categories of wealthness, poor people, medium class, high class, whatever. Mostly low, medium, poor class is what I saw,
Yeah.
and it hit me. It hit me because I was fighting for something, and then I understood that there's more possibilities in life. There's a lot of things you can do in your life that you can take control over. There's a lot of things that um, are gonna happen to you, and without you knowing, without you controlling, and the way that you sympathize with people, the way that you manage your emotions, the way that you
Mm.
control um, your emotions and start learning how to and then how to express yourself to other, how to understand how other people work, and that moment right there like just changed my whole mentality around the job loss, the business loss. And it happened over there. I got over
Wow.
there one day, and we had a lot of fun. I was over there one day sitting like they had like a lake where you turn on some lights and you put the candles, they're all floating. And I don't know what happened, dude. I was sitting there just talking, and all of a sudden, boom, I started
Wow.
crying nonstop. Like it was like I was having like an attack. It was like a
Yeah, like
panic
just a
attack. It was
full,
everything.
yeah.
It was like full force out. I
Wow.
couldn't control myself, and then at that moment, I understood that I need to read about it. I need to understand what's going through my mind. I need to let go of my own emotions, and then I need to look at the world with a different perspective, not just money related, not just title
Yeah.
related, not just. And that helped me a lot. That helped me a lot. And then I travel a lot, and then play video games. That's the way I cope. I'm doing baseball, and I love it. I
Yeah.
love that. And there's a lot of things that help me grow up and get out of that zone that lasted about 4 months. And
Yeah.
it was tough. It was tough. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't you know do like barely eat, and it was tough.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate you sharing that, man. It also sounds like a really powerful and like moving moment. And I think what's even more beautiful
Hmm.
about it is it's like just, I mean, a real like healing journey. I mean,
Yeah.
it really sounds like that was a meaningful part of that journey as well. And I've had moments, like that as well, where just the release, I think your body, I keep
You
saying,
need it. You need it. People need
yeah.
it to do that. You
And
need that, man.
yeah, and I think even from doing, having these kind of conversations or having this work and other stuff, it's like it half of the time I'll hear stories like that in a moment, and it's like touching, I'll feel it, and then like 4 hours from now I'll be like, like it's like it's just like, because it's just your body goes through this stuff and
Yeah.
just, really going through that process. And I think sometimes our bodies are playing catch up
Hmm.
to let stuff go, because I don't even think it's always about culturally suppressing it. I think sometimes it's just busyness and all this back and forth, and we don't really, our bodies don't get the time, and then it does finally, and then it's like,
It's like all
really.
out, all out. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So in closing, I have another just kind of a thought question in general, that I like to close with. That's just, what do you feel like the world could use more of from men?
From men,
Mm-hmm.
more respect.
Mm.
From men to other people. I think a lot of our problems in society are because men want to show that they're powerful, that they're above other people,
Yeah.
and I think that men they need to start respecting women. They
Mm,
need to start respecting their kids. Then they need to start respecting other men in every way, like in every aspect of life. And once you start doing that, um, I think we can have a better societies. That's my opinion. When we're talking about what men should start doing, they need to start respecting other people better.
yeah.
And I've had it from family members. I've had it from a lot of people I've talked to, a lot of men that I'm involved with in all my projects. A lot of men, and there's their lack of respect to other.
Yeah.
I mean, they think that just because I'm a man, I can get away with a lot of things.
Yeah.
You need to respect other people. You need to respect other men. You need to respect women, especially women. You need to do that to give that respect
Yeah.
out if you want to get respected. And,
Yeah.
mm,
And then maybe a flip of that question, is how do you think the world helps men to get there?
give me a second. I got you muted. Are you muted?
Oh, I did. It's this
Oh,
siren.
the
I'm trying
siren.
to
Okay,
sleep.
I was like, what is going on with the sound?
No, you're good.
What was? Can you repeat the question again?
So I think it's literally coming up the street. Sorry, listeners at home, but I was gonna say it's how do you feel like the world can help men to get to that point?
To that point, yeah. Education. Um, what we're doing right now, it's a kind of education. People that listen to us, they might feel, okay, I understand what they're saying. I feel with them, and I can I can now moving forward. I'll put my piece of grain and do something better. And it's all about education. I think the world needs to use the platforms better, not
Mm,
just promoting bad news, not just promoting political things, not just promoting things that go wrong, which are the ones that get more shares, that get
of
more likes,
course, yeah,
and I mean, if we can start sharing more positive news, more educational news on how to treat people, how to work around people, how to treat women, how to treat your kids, how to, all those things can help us build better men in the future. And I think that's my point of view.
yeah.
Hmm.
Listen, man, it's been just an absolutely awesome, just beautiful conversation. I think just so many insights and just jewels and things that I've really got to learn about you as well, which is just really cool to kind of hear and just see, and also from knowing and just seeing all of that
Hmm.
growth, man. So I just want to congratulate and commend you and just thank you for coming on and even sharing that, and just really happy to know you, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me here. I've been
yeah,
following you, well, since our time in Illinois, in Chicago over
yeah.
there, and I love what you do. I love the effort, the time, and dedication you put in your work. It doesn't matter if you're working on the backpacks, on the arts, on the performances, on How Men Cry, or anything. Um, you go out there and you give your best, and I've seen that and I feel that, and I mean, it motivates me. I think I send you a message. It motivates me to be better, to keep working on my things, to just go all out. It doesn't matter what people think about what you're doing. If you believe in it, just go all out. And I want to thank you for that.
No, thank you, man. And honestly, the feeling really is mutual, man. I'm
You
channeling
gotta
my
learn
own
Spanish.
courage.
You gotta learn
I'm
Spanish. Forget about that Japanese, man. Forget about that.
it's like,
It's Spanish. It's the the most spoken language out there. Go,
yeah,
yeah, go
it's
learn
true.
Spanish first. Spanish first, then go
It's
learn other languages.
it's funny though, because I was going through old writing and stuff, and actually I found you were like whiteboard teaching me at one point, and I actually found one of those notebooks that has some of the writing in
Yeah,
there, and I'm like I would
yeah,
butcher
man.
all of this shit right now. So,
Oh man,
but
I should have done a better job to get you hooked into Spanish.
well, I think we
I
were
went.
both we were on the back end of that whole program and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah,
I think if we probably would have started, right when we started.
when we
But
started.
I have still I've been wanting to learn multiple languages in general, just to kind of keep
Yeah.
that like muscle flexing. But you're right, I can see the parts where it would be beneficial
Yeah,
to
definitely, definitely.
you know
You should. But don't learn the classical languages from books. You gotta find someone to teach
to
you
really
just I mean just speak it, just try to learn how to speak a conversational Spanish. That's the best.
yeah
Forget about the instructional, the books and everything. You're not gonna you don't need that. Okay,
yeah
you need how to create a conversation. So just work on that.
yeah, it's true because you end up just knowing the stuff like, "Hi, my
Yeah,
name is so and so," and that
I
gets
know,
you
yeah,
that
that
far in
gets
the
you. Yeah.
conversation.
That's all they do, it sucks. You gotta find someone that will teach you conversational Spanish. And
Uh,
then when you learn, when we talk and you learn and you ask questions, those things are engraved in your memory. Not just reading a book. Like you'll out of 100, you'll probably learn one rule. That's it.
yeah. All right, mate. I'm not going to commit to this on air because I don't want to.
Okay. Send me a text
because,
later. Send me a text
because I
later.
was like, I was going to say maybe we can start back up. I'm not going to commit to
Oh,
that
come
on
on.
air. Not right now. We go.
All
But
right, all right.
yeah, no, man. But is there anywhere you would like the people to be able to find you, or any projects or anything like that you want to throw any shout outs to, or even just last words you want to leave folks with?
Yeah, so on my Instagram, Edma Lore, that's EDMALOR. That's my Instagram, and then my project it's on Facebook or the website Instagram. It's Bombi PR. That's BOMBI PR. That's from Puerto Rico, so Bombi PR. So
Yeah,
everything's in Spanish. Hopefully soon I'll try to work some projects with the English version. So
yeah.
I'll expand my reach of clients.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Lawson, man, again, I thank you for coming on to the podcast and having a conversation. And I'm gonna have to find a couple other of our mutual buddies. I got a few here, here and there, but I know a few in particular.
Go out there, go out there.
We gotta get Rick. I'm gonna just
Yeah,
throw his name out there. Rick, you gonna come on the show? We doing this.
yeah.
But anyway, man, I just want to say congrats on all. Just send some love to you, and yeah, man, we'll be in touch, and just thank you again for the conversation today,
Yeah.
man. Really
No
appreciate it.
problem, man. No problem, man. You have a good one.
All right, and all the How Men Cry listeners, you want to find out more, you can always visit howmencry.com or How Men Cry anywhere on the interwebs, and continue the conversation, submit stories, plenty of ways to get involved. So thank y'all for tuning in as well. So,
All
all right,
right.
man.
Well,
Take
take
care,
care,
man.
man. You too. Bye.
All right, peace.
Yeah, a long way from a stuttering kid. I didn't get enough love.